been to the gym in 21 or 22. So.
27th, I believe.
He told me he wasn't sure he was going to make the meeting.
As I'm going north on
He's getting
Belleville Road, I
Brittany
went down the service drive to Quirk and came in
on
the
her
back
own,
way
maybe.
there. 2 fire trucks from Detroit
I saw
are on
those too.
Belleville Road.
I saw those too. I think they may have been at that across the railroad track on Belleville Road, past in Canton Township. There's that or not their emergency services vehicle place. I think that's where they were coming from.
Okay. But yeah, it was crazy.
This should go through fine. It's already been approved, but
Oh, I didn't notice that. I thought he had stepped up.
Everything still stay on? Or ordinances have changed or whatever?
it's exactly the same as what was in. Just didn't have the budget then, and now they do. So
Yesterday I was at a training session. I spoke from 6:50 till 10:15 p.m. I was talking nonstop. I was training. I thought my throat was going to come apart by the time I finished.
Yeah.
Great.
We're on, man.
And then I
Good evening. Welcome to the Charter Township of Van Buren Planning Commission meeting for Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. This time calling the meeting to order. If we could all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And with that, could I have a roll call, please?
Mary Budd, Bernie Grant, Peter Creel, Medina Atchison, Jackson Paul, Jeff Jar, Brian Cullen.
Here. We are at the point of approving the agenda. Could I have a motion to approve the agenda, please?
Through the chair, I make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Motion to approve the agenda as presented and supported. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? With that, motion carries. We have before us the meeting minutes of 2 meetings. The first one of the Tri-Community meeting of July 30th, 2025. Do I have a motion concerning it?
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the meeting minutes from the Tri-Community meeting of July 30th, 2025 as submitted.
Support.
Motion and support for the approval of the minutes of the Tri-Community meeting of July 30th, 2025. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? We also have before us the minutes of the regular meeting of the Planning Commission of August 13th, 2025. Do I have any action concerning this?
Mr. Chair? Please.
Through the chair, make a motion we approve the regular meeting minutes of August 13, 2025.
Mr. Chair, I support that motion.
We have a motion and support of the minutes of the regular meeting of August 13th, 2025. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed? Carries. Correspondence announcements.
Through the chair, at this time, we do not have any correspondence or announcements.
General public comment. Anybody from the public that would like to discuss an issue that is not on the agenda for this evening? Is there anyone in the public that would like to discuss or make comment concerning an item not on the agenda? Seeing none, moving ahead. Public hearing? None. Old business. Moves us on to new business.
Mr. Chair, point of order. If we have a member of the press in the audience today that's trying to take notes and would like
Okay.
to use the press table, I think it would be
Sure.
a welcome. I like taking notes
Right
on the
there.
desk.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
And just so you need, that is Mr. Paul Henning,
From the,
Belleville Independent.
thank you.
Thank you. Pleasure to have you. Okay, item number one. Case 25026, DTE Site Improvement. A request by the applicant, Justin Cazares, Integrated Design Solutions, on behalf of owner DTE Energy to conduct site improvements. The site is located at 8001 Haggerty Road. We have presentation by the township staff. Ms. Edwards.
We'll defer to Vidya Krishnan.
Ms. Krishnan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. The request before you tonight is from DTE to construct some fence and landscaping improvements at their Western Vein Service Facility that's located on the east side of Haggerty Road, just south of Ecorse. The site has been before the Planning Commission numerous times over the years, most recently being a garage addition on the rear of the property in early 2024. The site is zoned M1 Light Industrial, and the zoning ordinance permits public utility buildings by right in the M1 district. A brief summary of the changes that are being proposed at this time. The site currently has chain link fence along the sides and rear property line with gates that control access to the site, but those gates are on the interior of the site. So what the applicant is proposing to do at this time is to remove an existing dense hedge of shrubs along a portion of the site's Haggerty Road frontage and install a new 8-foot-tall ornamental fence along the front property line. Replace the chain link gate control system on the north side entrance with new ornamental sliding gate system. Add a new card reader island at the south entrance of Haggerty. Replace a section of the existing chain link fence along the south property line with an 8-foot-tall black vinyl-coated chain link fence. And finally, new trees and shrubs along the frontage to meet the landscaping requirements. Now, the zoning ordinance does allow for placement of fences on the property line for parcels that are located in the M1 district. The zoning ordinance permits 6-foot-tall fences on industrial properties as a part of site plan approval. However, the applicant is proposing an 8-foot-tall fence. An increase in height from 6 feet to 8 feet requires Planning Commission approval. This is not an unusual request and something the Planning Commission has entertained pretty much from every industrial parcel in recent times. For reasons of safety and security, an 8-foot fence is what is being installed in most parcels, and the applicant's request is consistent with that. So we support the request for the increased height. With regard to fence design, there is a proposed ornamental fence detail in your packet. It shows a picket-style fence with an outward curved top that ends in a ball-shaped finial. The fence is being referred to as ornamental. The actual material has not been specified. Typically, we recommend a black painted aluminum or wrought iron. The applicant just informed us yesterday that they're proposing a black painted steel fence. Steel is also acceptable. The intent is to have a material that is durable, long-term, and low maintenance, so steel is acceptable. So the fence that is located along the front property line makes a 10-foot return on the side property line before it changes into a chain link fence along the south property line. There is a pretty dense stand of scrub vegetation in that area, so the chain link fence is not really going to be visible. but the chain link that's being proposed is consistent with a black vinyl coated chain link fence, which is the only type of chain link we permit at this time. So we support that request too. As to landscaping, there are specific zoning ordinance requirements for landscaping along the frontage on Haggerty Road. The applicant is removing some shrubs, but the new landscaping is being installed with 5 evergreen trees, 2 ornamental trees, and 42 shrubs, which will comply with the frontage landscaping requirements for the M1 district. With regard to electronic access, the new sliding gate system along the north access drive is about 200 feet inside of Haggerty Road. So there is adequate room for vehicle stacking before somebody slides their key card or whatever electronic system is for them to get in. The card reader system that is being proposed on the south access drive is located right at the property line or just inside the property line. It's got 2 islands and the stacking space is approximately for 1 car. So in the morning rush hour, if you have vehicles and not everybody slides their card in immediately, we had concerns about what kind of backup is it going to cause on northbound Haggerty, and what happens if the employees who are southbound on Haggerty are waiting in the center lane to turn in while you already have a stacking queue northbound. So we said, my recommendation is either the sliding gate be moved to the interior of the site, in which case they will need 2 sliding gates, one for the parking lot for the office employees who are immediately to the west of the main building. You can see that parking lot off Haggerty Road, and place a second gate slightly on the interior, which sort of matches what is on the north side. Or if the applicant wants to place the gate where they are showing it at this time on the site plan, they need to submit a traffic impact study showing us what is going to happen in rush hour backup. The applicant reached out to us yesterday and said, at this time, they are not interested in doing a traffic impact study, so they will install the 2 gates as recommended on the interior of the site so that there will be no traffic backup onto Haggerty Road. And that should address the concern. Any vehicles that are standing in queue will still be within the interior of the site. The plans, even though we have seen multiple plans, they continue to refer to this as Belleville. This is Van Buren Township. We want to make sure that DTE corrects all future applications to refer to the township correctly. Finally, based on our review of the plans, I'm revising my recommendation based on the conversation we had with the applicant yesterday and the presentation that they're going to make tonight, that the Planning Commission grant approval to the proposed site plan subject to the fence being black painted steel and the 2 ornamental sliding gate card readers be installed on the interior of the site, not as shown on the site plan. And this revised plan needs to be submitted for administrative approval prior to the issuance of any permits. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mrs. Williams, and I apologize the first time.
You're not a problem at all. So I have the fire department letter dated August 13th, 2025. And it reads, the fire department access, all gated access in Van Buren Township shall have a Knox gate key switch installed for fire department use. The gate key switch can be purchased at theknoxbox.com. And that is all.
Okay, thank you. Now I believe it's time for the applicant. Do we have an applicant? Step forward, please introduce yourself.
Hi, good evening. Justin Curiazis. I'm with Integrated Design Solutions. I'm here on behalf of DTE Energy. They're our client at 8001 Haggerty Road. I think you stole my thunder. Everything we submitted on, you had said tonight. So that's great. That's really what my presentation was. I guess anything to add to that with the addresses, I did comb through our documents. The only thing I could see was the address of the site itself, which looking at the U.S. Postal Code or service does have it as Belleville, and I think it's just because it's the nearest mailing location, but it is technically in Van Buren Township. I do have a plan. It's just like a PDF markup of what our proposed south gate would look like based on the recommendations that hopefully gets approval tonight. I guess what we're looking for tonight is approval from this commission. And then obviously we would have to follow through though from a review side with the final plans, the updated plans. But based on this, I would hope that at least we get approval to go forward with that. Is it okay if I share a PDF document? radius, yeah. Okay, but move adapters just in case. I can zoom in a little. Okay, is this coming through enough for people? So here's the south gate. You can actually see, we originally, it has the submitted gate. And I've kind of cross-hatched it out and just said, delete this scope of work. And so what we're proposing with the change is, as recommended, a gate for the front parking lot. And then there's a gate to get to the back parking lot as well. And both of them still have those island card readers to allow someone two ways of traffic, essentially. And I guess, with approval, we'd go back through the review process and submit this formally with the stamp drawings. Any comments or questions that I can help with?
Commissioners?
Mr. Chairman, would the administrative approval go through Specialist Williams? Are you all right with doing that as an administrative approval? Would the administrative approval also include running it back past the fire department to make sure that the trucks can make it past the card reader bollards? On the original diagram, I looked at it and I thought, that one card reader looks like it might get clipped by a ladder truck. And there wasn't a turn diagram on it to check. Is there any concern about the fire department turning radius with the new plan?
I don't believe the fire marshal had a concern about being able to access the site even with the new card readers. But when Ms. Williams does her administrative review, we typically consult on anything before finally signing off on it. So we'll make sure it is done.
Good for me. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Anyone else? Commissioners?
Through the chair, we just have to agree on the height, basically. As a group, as a group from 6 to 8 feet, I don't see an issue with it. I guess we just take a quick poll. I don't know if anyone has an issue with the height increase.
I really don't. I think it looks like it's the nice looking security fence, which is good for the nice looking parts of the property. And it is seems like it's becoming a pretty common request among the commercial sites lately. We may want to start considering making it so that we don't have to have this discussion every time. But yeah, I think maybe not in this meeting. But yeah, for the purpose of this request, I'm okay with 8 feet.
10 feet. Isn't it 10 feet?
No,
That there is now? 8 feet?
If it was 10, I might not be as okay. 8, I'm okay with though.
Is that a powder-coated fence, or is that just a straight painted steel?
Electroplate, yeah. And it is, we did submit with this a book specification, a project manual. In that book specification, it's a 32 division. It has the specs for it, and that's where it does call out the finish.
Okay.
I just regurgitated that and handed over for simplicity.
Anybody else? Any questions, comments?
Through the chair, the only comment I have is on the McKenna letter, we have 25-029, and on the agenda, it's 25-026. One is right and one is wrong.
Which one?
Which one?
Just a second, and it's probably mine that's wrong.
Nope.
I have it on here as 2-6.
It's 2-6?
Yes.
I stand corrected.
Okay. Anything else? Anyone from the public have any comments? Any from the public? And anyone? Okay, moving ahead. Commissioners, what's your desire? I would entertain some action on this item.
Go for it.
Make a motion. I guess I have a question first. Is this for site plan approval, final site? What is the approval that we're granting, by the way?
An approval, since it's only site improvements, it can be preliminary and final in one step.
So
There's
it's
no
final,
engineering.
Final, that's
Yeah.
what I was wondering. Okay. So I'd like to make a motion to grant final site plan approval to the applicant Justin Curiazis from Integrated Design Solution on behalf of the owner DTE Energy to conduct site improvements located at 801 Haggerty Road, subject to the McKenna letter dated August 18th, 2025, with some notes. That is a revision to the, I would call it the number, the subject number, VBT-25-0292-0296. It should be 296. Also noting that Senior Principal Planner Vidya Krishnan is revising a recommendation to granting final site plan approval based on the fact that DT has agreed to a black painted steel fence, and the Planning Commission has approved it moving from 6 to 8 feet. Also, subject to the fact that DTE has agreed to moving the entrance at the south end of the site back into the site next to the two parking spaces as shown and presented in the Planning Commission meeting. And also subject to the Van Buren Township Fire Department letter dated August 13th, 2025.
I support that motion.
Support with.
With discussion.
With discussion. Can we just add, if we don't mind adding to, have final approval of plans submitted administratively by Specialist Williams?
And, Mr. Chair, I have one other point. The site is located at 8001 Haggerty Road, 8001 Haggerty Road.
Okay.
Change the address.
We have a motion by Commissioner Grant and supported by Commissioner Jar. Do we have any discussion on the motion?
Make sure it's 8001 Haggerty Road, Van Buren Township, and not Belleville.
Hey, you did okay, Peter. Bernie. Any other discussion? Then can we have a roll call vote, please?
Medina Atchison,
Yes.
Peter Creel,
Yes?
Bernie Grant,
Yes.
Sherry Budd,
Yes.
Jackson Paul,
Yes.
Jeff Jar,
Yes.
Brian Cullen.
Yes. You have your approval, sir. Thank you.
Consideration.
No problem. Okay. Moving forward, item number 2, case 25-019, Subaru, site plan extension. A request by applicant North American Subaru to Incorporated to build the previously approved auxiliary storage building. The site is located at 50255 Michigan Ave. We have a presentation by the township staff. Mrs. Williams.
Thank you. All right, so I have my letter dated May 15th, 2025. The applicant, ACS Michigan, has submitted to build a 2-story, 63,574 square foot research and development facility building and associated site improvements. A 75-acre site is located on the south side of Michigan Ave, bound by single-family residential neighborhoods to the east and Conrail Railroad to the south, and is commonly referred to as the Harold Smith Farm parcel. The applicant received preliminary site plan approval from the Planning Commission on September 26, 2018, and final site plan approval in November 2018. The original approved site plan included a car and tire storage accessory building on the east side of the site next to the parking lot. The applicant proceeded to construct the site, however, the accessory structure was never built. The applicant is at this time seeking an extension of the approved site plan to enable construction of the building. Per section 12.207, a site plan is valid for for a period of 1 year after the date of such approval unless actual construction has commenced. At this time, the site plan is over 7 years old and beyond any extension period. The applicant will require a new site plan approval. Since the site plan remains unchanged in regards to all aspects, including but not limited to access, circulation, parking, trash, signage, and landscaping, the site plan review is limited to the tire and vehicle storage building only. The comments below provide a comparison of the elevation of the building in the approved site plan and the plan submitted for the building permit at this time. The elevations are overall consistent, except for a change in the overhead door design, which is acceptable. The drawings submitted at this time do not specify the color of the metal siding on the building. However, per the approved plans, all metal siding must be finished in Silversmith paint color. I recommend approval of the updated site plan for Subaru's accessory building with the following condition. Must confirm paint color matches previously approved plans or submit new paint color for administration approval.
Thank you. And now, presentation from the applicant. And please introduce yourself.
My name is David Goldman. I'm here with Plant Moran Real Point as the owner's representation for this project. And here along with me is...
I'm Chris Vogelheim with HED, the architect for the project.
Thank you for having us here tonight. So yeah, as you'll recall, it was originally known as Project Pancake during its inception. The building finished right before COVID in March of 2020. We were unable to do our finished landscaping at the time because of the executive orders and whatnot. So I was involved in the project at a different company with ACS at the time, and was on site for 2.5 years building the whole project. So we are just looking for the tire storage building and car storage to be built. Currently, the Subaru uses storage pods located throughout their property and tires kind of all over the place behind their building as well. So we're just trying to centralize that location. The foundation and slabs for this building have already been poured, and when we did the original work at the site, we've had that looked at by our structural engineers, and everything still looks to be appropriate and can be built on. So we are asking for permission to move forward with the tire storage building, outbuilding at the Subaru site.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, comments, questions?
I just have some questions in general. It said, just to be clear, it says that at this time seeking an extension of the approval of the site plan to enable construction of the building, but it says that a site plan is valid for only a period of 1 year after the date of such approval unless actual construction had commenced, which is true. At this time, the site plan is over 7 years old and beyond any extension period. Does that mean technically they can't ask for one, but they have to go back to go through the site plan approval process all over, right?
And that's what they're doing tonight, is doing the site plan approval. They originally asked for an extension.
Right.
And they cannot do an extension because it's been such a long period of time.
So in order to do that, though, is there a list of requirements that they have to actually issue a set of plans that show more, well, I guess, you can turn, that shows the full set of engineering, even though it may be the old stuff. At this point, we're seeing 11 by 17s and that's it. And that's a site plan final or preliminary?
Technically, if the applicant had come before you within the time period, it would have been called an amendment to an approved site plan. We would have just made it a site plan amendment. But because this is 7 years later, we cannot refer to the original plan.
Right.
The scope of this project is very limited. The existing site is completely built and there are as-built drawings for it. So as such, it is part of the final record, and that is why the scope of this site plan review was limited to the structure itself, whose footprint has not changed.
Okay.
So that was the reason we decided putting them through a whole site plan review process with the whole drawings would serve no purpose, because we are not going to make them redo the building or the landscaping, because everything is in compliance with the approved
So it's
plans.
what we're approving is the perimeter of the footprint up, not every.
Exactly.
Okay, that's much
Basically,
clearer.
they changed the elevations. The footprint of the building is already set. The site plan is limited to strictly that building and the
So in
architecture.
order to build though, so really all they have to do is basically almost update, redate, because there's code changes too in the last 7 years potentially that impact engineering.
They will have to comply with whatever the building code requirements are for construction of the building, yes.
Right. Okay.
It would not change site engineering because the concrete pad was already poured and was engineered for with the original plan, yeah.
That's better to know that, yeah. Okay. I have no issue then.
Anybody else? Comments?
So just to be clear, Mr. Chairman, if I may, we're being asked to grant a site plan approval, not a site plan amendment, right? Correct. Site plan approved, final site plan approval. Preliminary and final site plan approval?
Yes, I got it wrong on the agenda.
Okay,
I typed it incorrectly
Just-
on the agenda, yes.
Anybody else? Any comments? Anybody from the public like to make a comment? Anyone from the public? Anyone from the public? Oh, didn't we ask them to bring some pictures of the garden that's out there?
Told you.
Okay. Mr. Ryan Plum from Subaru is actually in the hospital tonight. He's doing okay, but I do have an update from him. I don't have pictures. We can email them to you guys after this meeting. He did say everything is going according to plan. There's a good mix of species and everything is healthy and looks good. They get a ton of positive comments from the guests that visit the building and want to check it out. So again, I can have him follow up with pictures to you guys, but he is not able to attend tonight.
Okay, thank you. Yes, we would appreciate that. Okay, with that, do we have any action on this?
Mr. Chair,
Commissioner Jar.
I would move to grant the applicant North American Subaru preliminary and final site plan approval to construct a tire and storage accessory building located at 50255 Michigan Avenue, based on the analysis and subject to the condition detailed in the letter of staff, May 15th, 2025, specifically that the paint color must match previously approved plans, or the applicant must submit a new paint color for administrative approval.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Jar, supported by Commissioner Creel. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, could we have a roll call vote, please?
Bernie Grant,
Yes.
Sherry Budd, Peter Creel,
Yes.
Medina Atchison,
Yes.
Jackson Paul, Jeff Jar,
Yes?
Brian Cullen.
Yes. You have your site plan. Go ahead, build your garage.
Thank you very much for your time.
building.
And thank you. And moving ahead, item number 3. Case 24-005, Sheets, final site plan approval. A request by Skilkin Gold on behalf of owner Premier DeQuinder 2 LLC to construct a new gas station with 6,139 square foot building containing a convenience store and drive-through restaurant. The site is located at V-12583-041 990001 and V 125-83041-99-0001714 at the southwest corner of Ecorse Road and Haggerty Road. We have a presentation from the township staff. Mrs. Williams.
I will defer to Vidya Krishnan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the commission. So if the Planning Commission recollects, the applicant was before you in September of 2024 and received preliminary site plan approval for the construction of the gas station with a drive-through restaurant in it. The site is zoned C1, which is general business, and the total acreage of the site is 15.95 acres, of which 3.86 acres is being developed at the southwest corner of Ecorse and Haggerty for the proposed development. The preliminary approval was subject to several conditions. I shall summarize those in brief. The first one was Township Board of Trustees' approval of the special land use. Both the gas station and the drive-through restaurant were both special land uses in the C1 district. And the Township Board of Trustees granted special land use approval on October 1st of 2024. The second question, there was significant discussion on what happens to the remaining portion of the parcel, which has got significant wooded areas on it and some wetlands too. So the Planning Commission had asked for clarification regarding placement of a tangible method of restricting future development on the remaining portion of the parcel, if so intended by the applicant. The applicant has decided that they are going to place a conservation easement on the remaining portion of the parcel to keep it that way and not have any future development. That way, the integrity of the woodlands and the natural features on this parcel will be preserved, and you won't have additional commercial development there, which was a big concern to the Planning Commission because we have too many intense automotive-based uses at that one intersection and corner itself. The applicant has submitted a copy of a survey that outlines the limits of the conservation easement, but this has to be formalized in the form of a written easement agreement that is recorded in a permanent and irrevocable form. So we recommend that this be submitted to our township attorney for review for the correct format for final approval. The third condition was provision of cross-access easements to the property to the west of the detention pond, which is the applicant's own property. It was basically cross-access in case the remaining portion of the parcel is developed, and to the south. The site plan does show cross-access in both these areas. Now that the applicant is going to preserve the remaining portion to the west, a cross-access to the west is not required, so they can eliminate that during construction. It is unnecessary. The fourth condition was incorporation of shrubs within the 5-foot wide landscape area on the north side of the drive-through, because the drive-through lines up along Ecorse Road and we wanted to have screening so you're not seeing cars lined up over there. They have shown an island, and it is to be planted with 41 compact inkberry shrubs. Now, inkberry is a pretty shrub, but it is not native to Michigan, and unless it is properly maintained, it can become invasive. So our recommendation is that they use a native species such as Michigan holly or anything similar their landscape architect picks, but something that is native to Michigan so that it is easier to maintain and doesn't become invasive. The fifth condition actually is not technically a condition because the Planning Commission had removed this condition during the process of discussion of preliminary site plan approval. That is to provide one additional stacking space for the drive-through. You had removed the condition, but it was still there as part of the motion when you added my review letter. So I just mentioned it, but that was no longer a condition on the approved site plan. We had asked for addition of trees based on the total interior landscape area. The applicant has revised the landscape plan to comply. The landscape plan also shows a 20-foot wide green belt along the south property line along the utility easement as a buffer. A green belt was also required along the west portion of the site, but since the entire property is now going to be in a conservation easement, it serves as its own natural buffer. A revised photometric plan has been submitted in compliance with the township's newly adopted lighting ordinance. With regard to facade materials and colors, the Planning Commission had approved the specifications as part of their preliminary approval. Per the applicant's statement, none of the colors or materials have been changed, and I would like to reiterate one more time, no material specification or color can be changed during the process of construction without prior approval from the Planning Commission. Should there be any reason you cannot propose the same material, do not make changes to the building without seeking prior approval from the Planning Commission. Otherwise, you will be asked to remove and go back to what was original. The next condition was Planning Commission decision on placement of the propane cage and recycling machine along the building facade. Now, the Planning Commission discussed this matter and approved the location of both the recycling, the propane cage, the ice box, and the recycling pad, but only the recycling pad is shown with an opaque gate. The propane cage is not shown with any screening around it. The plan also at this time has got two new labels which says proposed auto sales and proposed e-stop on the south side of the building on the site plan. It's shown on the footprint. So there are arrows pointing to the building. I'm not sure what they actually mean. There is no clarification. So I had made a note that no additional exterior storage or display can be added to the plans at this time. Since we wrote our letter, the applicant reached back to us to clarify that screening will be added to the propane cage to match what is there for the recycling. They did provide drawings as of, I believe, yesterday to show the screening that is compliant. The proposed auto sales label will be deleted, and the proposed e-stop apparently is to show that there is an automatic shut-off or some such thing. It is not necessarily a service that's being provided at the building. I will ask the applicant to explain it further to the Planning Commission. It is just sort of a warning label, not necessarily a use that is being included in the building, or there's going to be nothing extra on the outside of the building beyond what was shown for preliminary. I defer to the township engineer for update on Wayne County approval and township engineering approval. With regard to dumpster gates, this set of plans shows composite boards as the dumpster gates. The preliminary plan correctly showed steel reinforced wooden gates, which is what our ordinance requires. So the applicant confirmed yesterday that they will change the gates back to the steel reinforced wooden gates, which is what is required by our ordinance. Based upon our review of the proposal, it is our recommendation at this time that the Planning Commission grant final site plan approval for the proposed Sheets gasoline station and drive-through restaurant to be located at 7840 Haggerty Road, subject to the following conditions: review and approval of the conservation easement document by the township attorney, replacement of the compact inkberry shrubs with a native species, inclusion of screening for the propane cage as was shown and what the applicant should present tonight to the Planning Commission so they can see it, elimination of all additional outdoor storage, if any are proposed, beyond what was shown on the preliminary plans, and replacement of the dumpster gates with the steel reinforced wooden gates. I want to make special mention, this site plan has got so many small details and components to it. We did a thorough review in order to make sure that the final site plan matched the preliminary site plan in terms. I want to reiterate that if any additional label that was added to the plan since preliminary approval got missed at this time, if during the process of construction it comes to our attention, the applicant will be held to the information that was shown on the preliminary site plan approval in terms of all of the uses and the layout of the site that was approved. I just want to cover the basis in case a label got slipped in one of the whole sheet sets and I did not catch it. I would be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Mr. Kamer.
Yes, thank you, commissioners. It should be mentioned that our letter dated August 21st, 2025 was actually about the third review that we did for the engineering plans. Fishbeck has been working with township staff as well as the applicant over the last 4 to 6 weeks prior to their submittal. I should say 4 to 6 weeks prior to their submittal on July 31st. So we've actually done quite a few iterations of this to get them to the point in which they then submitted for final site plan approval. So that's why in looking at our letter, you'll see it's actually a little shorter than usual because we hit many of those items with the applicant prior to them submitting final site plan approval or final site plan. The site, as you may recall, is pretty minimal in utilities on site. The applicant is running service lead for both the water and the sanitary from existing services or existing main along both E-Course and Haggerty roads. The water main service comes from Haggerty Road off of a 12-inch cast iron line. And in the process of, actually, over the last month, we've been working with the I'm sorry, 2 weeks, we've been working with the applicant over their permits. And there's change relative to plans that were submitted. Some contaminants, some very small traces of contaminants on site that don't interact well with plastic water main pipe. So the applicant and Eagle has requested that they change the material to ductile iron pipe, which is pretty standard and much more, it works better in the environment that they found on site. So the applicant is in the process of reviewing their plans, reviewing the construction method of the water main to get on site. But there's no concerns from our end as far as any implications or any changes to the Van Buren system itself. And we will review those thoroughly once that final design is updated. Again, it's just a material and construction change, no alignment change with the water main service or the hydrants on site. The sanitary service hasn't changed since the iterations that they gave us during preliminary site plan approval. They will be tapping into the existing 18-inch sanitary sewer along E-course and running a 6-inch PVC pipe that has all the proper pieces of the grease trap and things of that nature that go with the restaurant as well. The applicant is proposing 2 separate smaller detention ponds, which have been approved, along with a fully underground stormwater collection system. There's some minor comments in our letter about some labels and slopes of the pipe, which we believe can be handled relatively easily. At this time, we're still working with them to get through their permit application approval, and we'll hold them accountable until they get those permits before moving to any type of construction or pre-construction meetings. So at this time, Fishbeck recommends the Planning Commission grant Sheets final site plan approval based on the plan submitted or dated July 31st, 2025, along with the minor comments in our letter dated August 21st, 2025. And as always, we will require the applicant to submit a issued for construction set of plans, which will get approved by us prior to going to construction. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Gamer. Mrs. Edwards, or excuse me, Mrs. Williams. I don't know why I got that stuck.
Okay.
Yes, I apologize.
It's all right. I have the fire marshal letter dated August 18th, 2025 for the final site plan. It says status is approved. His comments were water supply. The 7/31/25 submittal, page C8, shows a second fire hydrant on the southeast corner of the property. And then for fire department access, he states an emergency vehicle access plan on sheet C6 has been added. All fire department access concerns have been addressed. General comments, he has a Knox box will be required for the building and no fire lane signage shall be provided as necessary and we field verified by the HJ. Thank you, and I can answer any question.
Thank you, Mrs. Williams.
You're welcome.
Okay, presentation from the applicant. Please introduce yourself to us.
Everyone, my name is Al Sawicki from Sheets. I'm 3933 West 12 Mile Road, Farmington Hills, Michigan. Good to see you all again. Thank you for having me, as always. And thank you to various staff for their excellence this evening. As Vidya alluded to, we did submit just yesterday a response to the planner's comments. Basically, to sum it up for you, we will comply with all of them. As the engineer indicated, the plans are very detailed, so things happen. But we'll get it corrected. So with that, I'm really here to hear your questions.
Could you please explain to the Planning Commission the proposed ESOP that I mentioned?
Yes, of course. ESOP, vernacular emergencies, it is required by the National Fire Prevention Code. It's based on the building, so if there's an emergency with the fueling system, a citizen can go up and hit the button and it shuts the system down. It is required.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners.
Mr. Chairman, I'm wondering if the applicant could explain what the deal is with the proposed auto sales. What was that label?
It's something that's prototypical to Sheets. It'll be removed. We're not selling vehicles. It's windshield wiper fluid. It's a rack for windshield wiper fluid, but we will remove it from the site plan.
Ah, okay.
Okay.
Just a clarification, you don't plan to stack windshield wiper fluid out there on that sidewalk, do you?
Move it from the site plan.
Chair, I have one question. I guess it's just for clarification. The total acreage it says is 15.95 acres.
Estimate is.
Okay, and that's the remaining portion of the site that's not being used
Correct.
for construction. Okay, thanks.
Anybody else? Questions, comments? Whereabouts are you with Eagle permit?
Good news with Eagle. If you guys are aware, Eagle over the past few years has been ridiculous with their lead times, 4 to 6 months. Something has seemed to happen with their process in the past month. Now all of a sudden they're actually moving pretty quick. As the engineer can tell you, there's actually been activity on our permit lately as opposed to just laying dormant. So we're hopeful that it'll be addressed here real shortly.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Yeah.
When do you think you may start construction?
That's hard to say, but we're shooting for late fall, late fall, like November.
Oh,
They're ready.
I guess I have one question for engineering about that soil change that required the change from polyvinyl pipe to the cast iron, the ductile iron. What is that exactly? What would be in the soil that would cause the recommendation to change?
So I don't know exactly what the contaminants were. I don't know if the engineer can speak on it. But typically, what we find a lot in contaminated sites, any petroleum-based contaminants in the soil don't play well with plastics. So when you find those type of contaminants, you typically will swap out materials if you are proposing a plastic pipe, whether it's the black HDPE pipe or the PVC pipe. There are changes that are made to the gaskets within the ductile iron pipe. They make them so they're more chemically stable or prevent any corrosion from that line. But if I remember correctly from the reports, the amounts were trace amounts that weren't, there wasn't any concern with hazards to the public or anything like that. And this is actually more of a preventative, conservative change, just so that because as we all know, or as we talk in the business, your soil sample is only as good as the 2 inches that you actually take it from. So in order to be proactive and not, worry about anything that's happening further down the line, they've decided to change the materials. And the big thing is that when you go from a plastic to a ductile, which is more like a stick construction, they've got to change the methodology in which they install the pipe. So we'll be monitoring that as they update their plans here, and shouldn't be any concern.
Thanks for the explanation.
So I might want to ask a couple questions, piggyback on that. So it seems to me that, given the history of the site, that probably those contaminants are closer to the road than they would be on the majority of the site. To me, given drainage and from cars and whatnot, that's the only source I could think it might come from, unless there's an underground pipe that's pushing oil.
I can't say for sure. I don't know the background of where all the soil samples were taken or the history of the site, but I can always follow up with you guys and send you what we have.
Maybe it's not going to affect.
Anybody else? Questions, comments?
Just clarification. Are you okay with the change with the inkberry?
Oh, yes.
Anyone else? Anyone from the public have a comment? Anyone from the public? Any from the public? Then commissioners, what is your desire? We would like to have some action on this item.
Through the chair, I'd like to make a motion to grant final site plan approval to Sheets To the applicant, Silk and Gold, on behalf of the owner, Premier DeQuinder 2 LLC, to construct a new gas station with a 6,139 square foot building containing a convenience store and drive-through restaurant. The site is located at the southwest corner of Ecorse Road and Haggerty Road. Parcel numbers are listed.
7840 Haggerty Road is the address, I think.
Okay, what is that again? 7840 Haggerty Road is the address. And subject to the letters by McKenna dated August 20th, 2025, the Fishbeck letter dated August 21st, 2025, and the Van Buren Township Fire Department letter dated August 18th, 2025. Do it.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Grant, supported by Commissioner Pohl. Do we have any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, roll call vote, please.
Yes.
Bernie Grant.
Yes.
Peter Creel. Yes. Lydia Atchison.
Yes.
Jackson Paul.
Yes.
Jeff Jar.
Yes.
Frank Mullen.
Yes. You have your final site plan approval. Looking forward to. Thank you. Item number 4, Schaefer Housing Development Master Plan Amendment Discussion. Request by applicant Schaefer Development to discuss a master plan amendment near the Belleville Road corridor. The site is located at 44804 Tyler Road. We first have a presentation from the applicant. Please introduce yourself.
Commissioner Spencer Schaefer with Schaefer Development. I'm joined here by my father, Steve Schaefer. And for the record, our address is 3100 Northwestern Highway Suite, Farmington Hills, Michigan, 48334. So bear with me for a moment as I get this pulled up. Normally there's a full screen mode. Okay, that. All right, good evening again, Planning Commissioner Spencer Schaefer. So our company, Schaefer Development, we have been working on the Calc Properties assemblage. These are 2 parcels located on the north side of Tyler Road, just east of Belleville Road and west of Morton Taylor Road. Property owner has had the land for some time. It's been vacant, hasn't been developed. It's greenfield property. And before I get into my presentation, I just want to point out a couple items. Number 1, we are adjacent to a trailer park manufactured housing community to the north and the west. To the east, there is Walden Woods residential subdivision. I know that was done probably in the early mid-2000s. Very successful residential subdivision there. And then to the south, there's vacant properties that have a more intense master plan designation. I believe it's Town Center Core. But we'll get into that shortly here in the presentation. To the south, we have a plethora of retail uses. There's the Aldi, there's Lowe's or Home Depot, I'm sorry, I forget which one it is, and a couple of more grocery store uses. So property details in total, the parcel is about 40.5 acres, but I want to take a step back and explain why we're here today and what we want to talk about conceptually. So the township is going through a master plan update right now. My understanding based off our conversations with Ron Akers is that the master plan designation on this parcel is going to remain mixed detached single family, which permits 10,000 square foot lots by right. That's also what the property currently has a future land use of. The really overarching theme today is how does the township want to see that property developed? Does it want to see a conventional single family use, or does it want to see an alternative use that we're looking to propose here tonight? And the product that we're looking to propose is what we call a build-to-rent ranch product. If you're familiar with Canton, just up the street, there is a project called Fillmore Place, which is on the northwest corner of Beck Road and Michigan Avenue. It's actually a project that my father and I and a couple of local partners have built out. We're doing about 300 of these build-to-rent ranch apartment homes that we call them, and it's really a product pre-COVID that we thought was going to suit empty nesters, active adults, people who are aged 55 years and better, who want to downsize from their large single-family house and want a maintenance-free and a carefree commitment. But what we've seen as we've started building out the project in Canton is that we're not only getting those empty nesters, but we're getting a lot of younger individuals, younger families, younger couples, people who are cohabitating with each other who've sort of been locked out of single family just due to interest rates and the amount of money that's required to place a down payment on a house. So this is really an interesting product, not only for that empty nester segment, but for the first-time home buyer market. And we think with our proximity to the mobile home park and with some of the transitional future land use designations, I believe the manufactured housing community, I have it here on the next slide, is Town Center Edge. And then to the south is Town Center Core. We think this is a unique opportunity to potentially consider a master plan amendment for the western half of the site. We're looking to keep the eastern half of the site same and pursue a single-family subdivision, but you'll see that here shortly as I go into the zoning and the future land use designations. So again, we're located just north of the highway. We have Meyer, Menards, Aldi, obviously a lot of good commercial users in close proximity. When we build this build-to-rent product, you know, we're doing one in Canton on Michigan Avenue and Beck. That obviously has phenomenal proximity to Michigan Avenue and the broader highway corridor, the I-96 corridor. We're also doing a similar project to this in the Texas Township area that's just west of Kalamazoo. We're going to break ground in the next 2 weeks here on 166 of these build-to-rent apartment homes, and we're next to two major highway corridors, and we're going to be doing another one in Macomb in the Hall and Gratiot Road area next year, 136 units over there. So we're really looking to build a nice portfolio of these build-to-rent apartment home communities, and we were really attracted, you know, by this site here in Van Buren Township. So again, talking about the zoning map and the future land use designations, again, right now, the only thing that is permitted by right is a 10,000 square foot lot. For reference, that's a single family lot that's 80 feet wide by 140 feet deep. And, you know, we're very familiar with the housing trends in the area in Van Buren Township. The primary business that we do at Schaefer Development is actually entitling and developing lots for national home builders. So we work on a day-to-day basis with the likes of Pulte Homes, Toll Brothers, MI Homes, and we deal with the folks in the land acquisition office and really have an understanding, you know, of what's being built in the township. We've done our research. I know just to the east of the Walden Woods subdivision on the northwest corner of Tyler and Morton Taylor, Pulte just received final site plan approval to do a housing development that features 50 by, I believe it's 120 foot wide lots. And then MI Homes recently purchased lots in a legacy community where they were, you know, I think those were larger lots because that's what they were already pre-approved for. But they were looking to do homes that were roughly 40, 45 feet wide, which are more well-suited, you know, for those smaller lots. What we're seeing in today's day and age, you know, with the affordability in single-family housing is developers shrinking a lot. And what that does, development costs have very expensive. We use a rule of thumb of $1,000 a lineal foot. So if you have an 8-foot lot, development costs roughly $1,000. You take that down to 50, it's $1,000. So recent seeing a small lot as a result of builders trying to lower home maintainable sales space. And that's why we would want tonight on proposal amend master plan 20 to Sound Senate. These we need to do that to proceed our proposal is that it would allow us to proceed the rezoning to the Belleville Road mixed use district, allow proceed multifamily right to the even the master plan designation of 10,000 lots. So township always requires parallel plan to be together based on density for property. What's maximum of units density that can be developed on a parcel? And the R1B parallel determines then all the road infrastructure, utilities, stormwater facilities. So I just want you to add 100 units, and it's really like 2.6 an acre. We initially put together a concept plan for 107 units, 107 attached ranches, and then 50 single-family lots that we sized at 50 wide by 120 feet deep. Now, we initially met, there was a master plan steering committee session at the end of April. The opportunity to talk with several folks on this board was board trustees, and the feedback, I'll state about 4 or 5 things, but number one, We think that's a little bit too high. Number two, say for the attached product, your 6+ building one. Number three, it was a little bit dominant. As you can see, all the garages, or most of the vast majority of the garages on the multifamily product were front loaded. And number four, units were spaced a little too close to each other, 24. So rather than proceed with that plan, we made some alterations to it. And again, some of the highlights, I just want to talk about density there. So that's 4.12. So again, we talked about by right density is 2.6, repair at 4.12, and now we revised the plan that's about 3.6. So we lost 20 units. What we want to do is was all of the use fourplexes. We've increased side yards from 20 feet to 25 feet. And one of the things I want to discuss, we'd look to increase the amount of side entry garages. Right now on this land of 8 units with side entry garages, we'd like to get to about 15% of our units, or minus 14 to 15 units with side entry garages. Again, the setbacks between buildings, we talked about how we increase that, and we have, you know, a little bit more room in the back-to-back area where we can do some passive and active recreational amenities. And then there are 2 more items I want to talk about, you know, our exterior materials and porch deviations. These are requirements in the master plan designation for that we'd be looking to revise to, and there are 2 items that we just want to touch base on briefly to get your comments and get your feedback to see if we're barking up the right tree with this proposal. So here are some representative building materials. I know the township has a requirement where the first floor is mandated to be brick. What we would look to do is a brick wainscot on our prominent elevations. So that would be all of our front elevations. And then we'd look to do something similar on the elevations to the south that border the roadway, that border Tyler Road, and then also the units to the east. We'd like to see if there would be any way to get relief on some of the northern and western areas, just because we're in view of the mobile home park, and we're trying to design a product that can get rents that we feel will be attainable for this market. We have looked at an analysis of potentially doing this product as all hardy or all brick. The unfortunate reality of the situation, I don't want to be combative, but I don't think I can deliver a project at a price point that people can afford in Van Buren Township without, you know, proposing something that has reasonable modifications but still tries to comply with the spirit and intention of the ordinance. So that's one of the waivers that we'd seek potentially as part of a site plan submittal. Again, just want to get your comment and feedback on that at this early stage. I felt that it was important to share some perspective elevations, actually built versions of the products that we've done in other markets with our partners in Ohio. So, to 10% we used to do one print of our porch on the corner of about ordinance development. And then here you can see some of what our porches and our covered lanais look like. I'm going to skip this because this is an imperative we're talking about here tonight, but we like to do very highly amenitized communities. We do a clubhouse and some pickleball courts and community gathering area with a fire pit in the central portion of our developments. And this gives you a quick shot of the interior perspective. So our product, it doesn't fit a conventional mold in most ordinances. You know, we have a debate with communities about where this product fits. It's really an attached single-family product, and we best fit within a duplex or a row houses, townhouses style of development, purely from, you know, an ordinance perspective, what that requires in setbacks and such. But one of the considerations of this ordinance is to have a front porch that's 12 feet wide by 7 feet deep. The way that we have our product designed, all of the patios, the covered porch areas are situated in the rear portion of the development. To modify that is something that really isn't going to be possible for us. It's going to require a huge redesign of our product. And we really have a template product that's tried and true and a proven model. And we're looking to replicate that, you know, in a lot of the communities that we're working in. But again, we want to try to reasonably fit with the intention and the spirit of your ordinance. So with that, I know we covered a lot. I want to conclude with really 3 questions. One, is this something that the Planning Commission would be open to, understanding that it would require a master plan amendment for the western half of the property? 2, is the style of development that we're proposing, everything from our building elevations to our setbacks to potentially the amount of side entry garages. You know, do we feel that that is more in line with the ordinance requirements? And, you know, three, we're trying to, you know, bring about a community that's attainable for all, you know, proposing a single-family housing product that is a little bit smaller, but still meets all the design objectives of your ordinance. And then, you know, combine that with an empty nester community, which we feel is really going to allow us to produce, at the end of the day, a community that's mixed generational, where grandparents potentially have the opportunity to live near their children and their grandchildren. So we're looking at doing, you know, these master plan style communities in a couple of areas throughout the Metro Detroit area. And albeit this is a smaller site, I still think it's a unique opportunity to get two forms of housing product that I frankly think don't exist, you know, in large quantity in the community. So with that, I'd like to thank you for your time, and we look forward to hearing your feedback before we ultimately determine, you know, how we wish to proceed with a site plan on this property.
Okay, thank you. Commissioners, comments? Commissioner Paul.
Just to clarify, so this would not, you would not be seeking any changes to the zoning or master plan amendments for the eastern half? This is only for the western half that you're seeking, like?
So for the western half, it would be a new master plan designation to that would allow us to proceed with a rezoning to the Belleville Road District, the overlay district. And on the east side, we'd be looking to pursue that approval as a PRD. Got it. Which I believe is generally consistent with what Pulte had to do. Mind you, that was an existing PUD, and they were trying to modify the PUD, but I believe the design that they proposed was very consistent with the PRD.
Commissioners, anyone else?
Mr. Chair, I'll just say I don't understand what. Okay, so split zoning, I'm not very much in favor of that. I'll do half of the parcel zoned one way, half another way, particularly when it's different on the master plan. I would caution against doing that. It's problematic for future parcel owners. It's problematic administratively. And it complicates development to try and do that. If you were to, I would question why you weren't just doing a parcel division and turning it into two parcels, and then you know, seeking a rezoning on one and a similar, you know, keeping the other one the same. Maybe you would want to add. I mean, if you could address why do you want to do it as a split zoning instead of just a standard property division?
Sure. So the PRD by right only allows you to do 30% attached product. That's the reason we're not pursuing a PRD, because what we're looking to propose is 2/3 mixed attached single, you know, we're looking to propose 2/3 of that ranch product, that attached ranch build-to-rent product, and then 1/3 single-family housing. So the only reason we're unable to move forward with a PRD is because of that requirement. We would be open to potentially pursuing a parcel division and pursuing the western half as that new master plan designation and the eastern half as a PRD, if we felt that would make more sense from a land division and administrative standpoint. But again, the type of development that we want to propose, there's no other avenue for us to proceed. Lots of communities have a PUD ordinance, which is a little bit more open-ended and allows for further negotiation. The PRD has a robust set of standards where if we don't meet it, we can't seek a PRD option.
Also say that, I mean, your questions, you had two, you said three, but you had two. Your first question, is it something the Planning Commission is open to? Your second question was, do I find the style acceptable? I'll talk about the style for a minute. If you were to get this master plan, the master plan adjustment is the first step towards being able to rezone as Belleville Road Mixed Use District. That's why you would be seeking it, correct?
Correct.
It's okay if I threw the chair.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry. And then My understanding is that the Belleville Road Mixed Use District has a pretty serious set of architectural requirements. That's not the type of zoning district where you would come in and seek waivers to architectural standards. That's the kind of zone where you would justify your construction with highly increased architectural standards. So I'd say from a style standpoint, looking for waivers on our standard architectural style when you're wanting to put it into a zone that would be our town center where the architectural standards are higher doesn't seem like that is in line with the intent of the zoning. So does the style fit in the Belleville Road Mixed Use District next to the Belleville Road Overlay District or possibly in the Overlay District? Is it in the Overlay District?
They're asking for the overlay district to be expanded to get this in, and that's got a 50% brick requirement that has never been waived for a single building in that corridor.
No, sir. So that's my, you're asking the style, is it acceptable? If you were to rezone it, I would say, no, your style is not acceptable. We would have to change the ordinance to support it. In another part of the township, maybe that style would be okay, but putting it into that Belleville Road Mixed Use District would seem like your product would need to be, that maybe the product as proposed isn't a right fit for that district. I'm not saying it's not a right fit for the rest of the township or another area in the township, but remember, you're asking specifically about what if we rezone this as Belleville Road Mixed Use, and I'm commenting on what I know about the Belleville Road Mixed Use District. I'm not sure that your multi-tenant, multi-unit attached buildings are necessarily even allowed in the Belleville Road Mixed Use District. We've got a set of allowed buildings in that district. Duplex, single family and duplex are explicitly allowed.
Apartments are allowed too, so the question is, what do we fit under?
Yeah, what would you fit under? And I would also say that from a intent of the zoning, my opinion is that the Belleville Road Mixed Use District is really intended for mixed use, which is to say, I would expect that if that was a Belleville Road Mixed Use District, that there would be a commercial component alongside Tyler Road, not just apartment buildings going up against Tyler Road there. And putting 105 apartment units, dwelling units, into the mixed use district without a corresponding commercial component seems like it's going against what that mixed use district is for. That's just my take on it. It's my opinion on it. I'm not the. I mean, maybe the rest of the commissioners would.
Support exactly what he said.
That is a correct assessment. The mixed use by its innate nature is mixed use. It cannot have just one use. It is required. The mixed use corridor's definition is it should have a commercial component because it's so close to our core downtown, and then residential units. You can have apartments, but it has to have a commercial component. That's what makes it a mixed use district.
Yeah. That's my, I guess my set of main concerns with your request with regard to the style of the building and the zoning request. I can't think of anything else.
Anyone else? Comments?
Just a slight clarification, Pulte does not have final approval yet. They just have preliminary. They have not yet come back. So just, no, but I just wanted to make sure Planning Commission also remembers. They are just stuck in engineering, Eagle, something, but yeah, they don't have final approval yet.
And could I, Mr. Chairman, is the parcel is currently zoned R1A, right? Not R1B?
R1B.
It is R1B?
It's R1B.
Oh, it is R1B, okay.
We have R1A only south of I-94 in the southwest and southeast quadrants of the township. North of 94 is mostly all R1Bs.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, I guess my concerns are the same as what you brought up. The density is maybe high. I don't know that necessarily putting any kind of apartment building in that location on the town edge is necessarily something that I would look forward to. I think we have a lot of that type of housing. We can always use more affordable housing, but when we're looking at affordable housing, what we're looking for is purchasable housing. I think that's kind of what our goal has been, is houses missing middle that are affordable and can be purchased, not maybe as much apartment buildings, which is what these are.
Through the chair, can you explain what what your product is? Because my understanding is it's rent to buy or build to rent, like what?
So we call it
exactly?
build to rent, but it's all, for all intents and purposes, it's like an apartment home. So if you're familiar with Invitation Homes or Americans Homes for Rent, these are large national companies that actually have built single-family homes for rent in probably the top 12 states in the US in terms of population, with the exception of Michigan. Michigan, I believe, we're 9th or 10th in terms of population overall of US states. And we don't have one of those national companies in here building single-family homes for rent. This type of product really is our play in the state to bring that type of concept into the community, because there's a lot of individuals who don't want to deal with the maintenance issues, who don't want to pay taxes, who don't want to deal with replacing shingles, who don't want to deal with, snow plowing their driveways and such. So it's really a unique type of product that we felt initially, I hate to say Redwood in the same breath as ours, but Redwood was the first developer who built this style of community. What we're looking to do is take that product and make it a lot more premier, a lot higher end. The finishes that we propose in our units are more comparable to what you would see in a higher end Pulte or a higher end MI Homes type community. And we also like to have a bunch of active and passive amenities within that development. So there is a sense of place, for residents and, places to have an active and physical lifestyle, kind of playing on what Pulte's doing with Del Webb in the Milford area. But I've heard some comments from Planning Commission. I'm not going to lie. I think there are some hurdles which would make this a little bit difficult. If you don't mind, a quick pivot. Something else that we were potentially considering is doing a PRD on the entire parcel. And as I stated, we had a parallel plan where we were able to achieve 105 lots by right. What we'd look to do is a PRD where we achieve the same density, but we go with a slightly smaller lot size. The reason being, this allows us to preserve a lot more of the site as open space, and we feel is going to allow us to ultimately deliver a much more attainable housing product. So, again, I think we're going to have a lot of challenges with that attached product with the Belleville Road Overlay District. I guess I'd like to hear your thoughts and see if this is something that, again, the commission would be open to as a PRD.
The subject property is a residential parcel, right? You can always consider it. I mean, and it's above the minimum size for a PRD. PRD minimum is 50 or 40?
40 acres. This is over 40.
Half acres.
So they will. Yeah, you absolutely can. Actually, that's a concept plan we have seen before, and PRD is a viable option to go.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely.
Through the chair, I prefer residential. I know that it's mixed use, but I prefer residential versus putting some sort of commercial business on that area, on that lot. I believe like the residents, Waldenwood and the other developments that are already matured and developed, it would give them more peace of mind to have additional residential versus something commercial. So I do like this concept.
I believe that was the reason why the Belleville Road Overlay District was limited. We didn't want to have an incursion of commercial closer to established neighborhoods. That's why we set the boundaries. And that's the reason why PRD is a better idea for this parcel than mixed use. Plus, the Belleville Road Overlay District architectural guidelines are, while you can't say that for anything in zoning, flexibility is not something we would support.
Well, we need flexibility in side entry garages on this one with a
As a
50-foot lot.
part-
But I think that's something we can talk about, and that's the purview of Planning Commission as part of the PRD process.
PRD process allows the Planning Commission the flexibility based upon the design, the product that you're proposing, attainable housing, to discuss those things with you, grant you flexibility in side entry garages. Maybe you stagger the footprints of the houses to address those concerns. But if you're trying to go the B-Rod route and say, present the product you're doing, from a planning standpoint, I can't even stomach it, sorry.
No,
So-
we don't like to be a bull in a china shop, and that's why I had this alternative here, because, you know, we want to try to figure out what's the path of least resistance and what is, you know, a product that the community is open to. So
It's
that
not
feedback
going
is helpful.
Well, if I'm not mistaken, didn't we change some of the PRD requirements such that it's not necessarily 30% of the front garages? It's
Yes.
basically minimizing the look of the front of the home to minimize the appearance of the garage.
Correct. The ordinance was amended just in the last 1 year to allow for more flexibility in design so that the 30% hard requirement for side entry garages is no longer there. Planning Commission can change it based upon how you stagger the footprints, your design of your architecture. So all those are things the Planning Commission can modify based upon the design that you propose. A PRD offers you way more versatility than if you try to go into BROD, because BROD does not have, the Planning Commission does not have the ability to grant you modifications from architectural standards. And you cannot go for a variance because there's no hardship except you don't want to do it. So that's not a hardship. So this
Mr.
would be a
Chairman,
better route.
I want to point out also, though, we're talking about the flexibility that a PRD gives. I want you to understand, so that you're going into it with your eyes open. We don't have infinite flexibility.
Yeah.
Right? The PRD has a very well-defined set of steps for the specific factors of the design that we're allowed to vary, and it's always in our ordinance a give and take process. You want to have a smaller lot, well, okay, but you will end up paying for it by making up for the smaller lot by having a much larger open space area. It's a complex, but it is well defined what our limits are. And if you're considering going down that route, I suggest
We're very
strongly.
familiar with-
Yeah, get a copy of ours though. Don't just get PRD some other communities. Get ours and make sure that you read what can be traded off and what our ability is.
We understand what the materials are, and I don't know if it's a front porch requirement in the PRD ordinance, but I know, you know, there are some design characteristics where you want to try to get that livable area in front of the garage. So we're familiar with that, and there are a handful of communities that have been, you know, following a similar approach. So it is growing.
Now, going back, are these going to be, in your PRD, these would be sellable homes? They would not be rental?
That's correct.
Correct?
We'd look to probably do a site condo, but, you know, all of the units would be for sale.
Okay.
Communities, they've asked for covenants where you don't have like an Airbnb rental, such like that. That's something we would be open to.
I just have some questions. So these would be sellable, right? And I like the idea of the renting, even though in the past I've not been a fan of renters, but I shouldn't say of renters, of our community having more rental property, because I feel like we're saturated with it. With that being said, it's just dawned on me that our current rentals that we have are pretty old. So I'm not sure, but I think our youngest property that is a rental community, it's probably 40 years old. Do you have that info or no?
I know there's some newer, I don't know if they're assisted living or senior facilities. There's actually one of the west, but, you know, I think that's a multi-story product. In terms of like a ranch or a garden style apartment, as is pretty typical across Metro Detroit, most of that stuff is legacy 60s, 70s. Sometimes 80s. But, you know, I as several commissioners have said, I think there are some parcels that still have the multifamily designation where, you know, our build-to-rent product may be more appropriate. I just think there are some hurdles and roadblocks on this parcel that would make it challenging, and it would ask us, you know, to present a plan with a lot of waivers. And, you know, I don't know if that's something we're really comfortable or the commission's very comfortable or its consultant, so.
Another question, what would the square footage be?
So for a 50-foot home, you know, it would have a two-car garage, 18 to 2,400.
We would have a ranch. They'd primarily be two-story.
So the ranches would probably,
to 22, 23.
yeah, smallest probably 1,400, largest 2,200, and that's a range. You know, on average, it's probably going to be closer to 1,700 or 1,800 square feet. Again, if we have more colonials, it may veer closer to that 2,000, 2,200. So 1,900, 2,000 is probably a fair number for an average square footage.
Have you projected what the minimum price would be, or projecting what?
It's hard for me to project, understanding the PRD process is a 12-month process, and then we have to go through, as you were talking about with Eagle, it's 4 to 6 months to get permits from Eagle. We're really talking about if we submitted tomorrow something that would be selling, 18 months from today. The hope would be is that you could deliver something at a starting sales price in the upper 3s. It may potentially be in the low 4s. And I have to imagine homes could sell for as high, I should have looked at what, some MI homes, those newer homes are selling for right now, but I have to imagine it's going to be in a pretty comparable price range. Remember, they're on a larger lot. I believe that's like 75 feet or 80 feet, but from a product standpoint, it's something very similar. I can't remember the name of that MI Homes development, but it's about 3 miles south of us. And I know they have about 25% left of the units there. So again, mid 3s, high 3s, potentially low 4s is what we're talking about. Maybe mid 4s by the time, homes are delivered. But I think, we do a lot of development in Canton. It's going to be less than what's, a little bit less than what's selling for in Canton. But all the development pressures, they're pushing south here. And, I think Van Buren's obviously a desirable place, and, a lot of growing retail, obviously, close proximity to roads, is a very appealing place to live.
A lot of things that we read now, I'm just going to speak to the things I've read, is, the homeowners, now they're looking for smaller lots. Like, maybe I don't want a smaller lot, but the 30-year-olds that still have not purchased their first home are looking for, rents. Even though they want to buy a house, they still want a smaller lot. And that came through with the surveys the last time we did it in our community. They're looking for smaller lots. So that's it.
I would just add, I'd echo a lot what the commissioners have said. The first proposal, I think it looks good. I think it's a good idea. I agree with Commissioner Atchison that I think younger home buyers like the idea. Let me backtrack. The idea of the kind of like single family rentals, those ranches, those smaller, I definitely think market for that. But again, my personal concerns would also just be that type of development in that location. I absolutely think there's an option here for this style development. And then again, there's other parts of the township that maybe in 5 years or whenever it works on your timeline, that's something else that could be good here. But I would just add that.
Does that 40 acres, is there any wetlands on that 40 acres? Do we know?
I believe there's some wetlands on northern portion of the property. I don't have a here we go. So where the Robinson Drain is, we believe there is likely a small wetland complex there, and potentially another one in between here. We'd have to do a formal wetland delineation and go through the wetland identification process with the state, but something we're very familiar with. Our intention, we're residential developers, we're commercial developers, we do industrial too. We're very familiar with wetlands, and our design intention would be to stay out of those wetlands entirely. Actually, again, one of the large motivators for the PRD is we've got a nicer woodland stand on the northern portion of the property and through really the center western portion of the property. So as we designed our site plan, I'm trying to get there so you can see it's actually the last slide. So you can see our overlay too. We're trying to be as sensitive as possible to those wooded areas. And mind you, this is a concept plan right now. We don't know how our stormwater basins need to be sized and such, but we're trying to be creative and preserve as much of that existing vegetation as feasibly possible.
Also, on your first proposal, were all those homes, whatever, going to be stick built or built on site, or are they manufactured homes where they're brought in?
Not manufactured homes, but a funny thing is what we're actually seeing a lot of now are walls being fabricated in the shop, and then they're just being erected on site. So no, it's not like Champion Homes, if that's what you're thinking of. Yeah.
Well, I was thinking both ways. I was concerned on which way it was being done.
Yeah, it would be stick built, you know, some basements, some slab on grade, depending on buyer preference, yeah.
Anybody else? Comments?
I think this gives us, you know, some very good feedback, some thoughtful feedback. So I think what I'm hearing from everybody buy-in and large is, you know, more of a conventional style, single-family development with a PRD, you know, where we're, again, not really asking for anything discretionary. It's by right, we just have to meet all of the design objectives and such of the PRD. So we'll be sure to stay in contact with Vidya and with the planning department as we progress. So thank you for the time, appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Commissioners, that brings us to general discussion and updates. Mrs. Williams, I got it right. Is that third time tonight I got it right or
You
fourth?
got it.
Okay.
The only thing I have, there is nothing on the agenda for the September 10th meeting, so that meeting will be
Yes.
canceled.
Okay. Sounds good.
I just want to know who Ms. Edwards is.
I think I had a student at one time who was Brittany Edwards, and that name is stuck.
Got
Couple
married
meetings.
or unmarried. I was
Last
like,
couple meetings, and I will
I-
never
I don't
correct
know.
anybody.
I don't feel like it's appropriate to really kick the chairman.
I will never
I'd nudge him.
My neighbors called me Tiffany for 12 years, and I've never corrected
Brittany, come on.
buddy. I know you're speaking to me, so I'm okay with it.
Upset at myself for doing that, and I apologize profusely.
No apology
it is-
necessary.
Like wondering, like, what caused the name change? Like the few meetings ago, I was like, did she get married or unmarried? Like what?
I thought that
happened?
too, but I
Like,
wasn't gonna ask.
but I didn't want to ask. So
I had a student whose name was Brittany. The name Brittany, I didn't have a lot of students with that first name, so
through the chair, I'm not kicking you. I just was wondering.
them too. You're welcome to when I make.
Mr. Chairman, she's nudging you lightly. If
your elbow could reach.
No other discussions, eh?
I don't believe so. Anybody got anything else to add?
Beams are finally going on the bridge.
Are they really?
Yes.
That is
All
They
right.
placed, well, I think I saw 3 beams. And then a boat went under to see if it. Somebody already posted a video on Facebook. And it's the same height as Belleville, a little bit higher too, so. Yeah. Of course they did.
Anybody else with any comments, questions, statements? If none.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Support.
With that, all in favor signify by aye. Aye. Any opposed to it? Meeting adjourned.